The Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society is working hard to improve the community's knowledge of our historical significance in the United States of America and world history as well through the Underground Railroad. They will have a special presentation. Mary Parker, William Taylor, and other freedom seekers researching the Underground Railroad in Oakland County. That will be happening Wednesday, March 26th at 7 p.m. in the main meeting room at the West Bloomfield Township Public Library. Here for more on that special presentation from the Historical Society is their president, Gina Gregory. Gina, thank you so much for being with us today. Appreciate you coming on to preview this special event and take a look at our really interesting history here in West Bloomfield.
Good morning, Good morning, Tyler. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic and hope you are well as we get ready for this about a week from the time that we are recording this and having this first live with us on the air is when this presentation is going to happen. It takes a different perspective. We showed a video recently, and we've been airing this video for a long time on Civic Center TV about the Michigan connection to the Underground Railroad featuring in Farmington and in West Bloomfield. But we're kind of taking this upcoming presentation at the library county-wide. Tell us a little bit about the experts that will be presenting this and what the story they'll be telling this time about our local connection to the Underground Railroad.
Well, this presentation, I think, was developed as a part of this program, and researchers have been very active looking for our West Bloomfield history. I always recall probably during COVID or so, West Bloomfield Parks asked me who were the significant Black people early in West Bloomfield, and I had no knowledge at that time. So since then, we've been researching, and we're fortunate to have a volunteer researcher who is very able to look online and know how to use archives and find more and more. And I got an email from him yesterday, literally saying, in summation, the more you look at, the more you find. So this project, led by Leslie Pilek at the Birmingham Museum, has now found more evidence of about 1903 about Ellis Mason from his obituary. And he was an enslaved person who came to West Bloomfield to live the rest of his life. And the obituary shows that he lived on land a half mile from Walnut Lake Road. And when our researchers learned that, they were able to, Sue Williams was able to look through our reference material, our archives, our collection, and find 1980 testimony from a donation that we had received. And it references the Cooney farm as well as the adjacent people that Ellis interacted with. And then the stories were also passed down from grandmas and aunts and uncles. So all these things together piece together more of the story of what was happening here in West Bloomfield. So very exciting. Carol probably has that information and will be rolling it into her presentation about all of Oakland County as I see it. So she will tweak her presentation to us. So we're looking forward to that and having people attend live. And I also understand the Civic Center TV will be recording that. Wow. So that'll be an awesome way to hear the latest in a presentation format.
Yeah, we certainly encourage people to come out to the library on Wednesday, March 26th, 7 p.m. for this presentation. Really fascinating stuff because we're taking a look at this from a county perspective. This particular expert is an Oakland County Parks historian, but we'll also, as you said, Gina, be kind of taking this through the lens of our community proper and its direct connections to the Underground Railroad. But what we were saying about Sue Williams and others and their research sort of piecing all of this together over recent years really goes to the crux of what the Historical Society and its volunteers do every single day. Just take us through a little bit of the legwork that people that are essentially our local historians are putting forth to tell these important stories of our history in Greater West Bloomfield.
Absolutely. And it's through sharing that happens. If they were each their own little silos, not sharing, they wouldn't get very far. So the communication between people and the interest and the ability to respond in a timely way just really keeps the enthusiasm and the interest rolling and the possibility to move forward. It's all, can be a long time process. And we're just fortunate to have people right here in West Bloomfield who are committed to that.
And there's competing theories that history is a revolving door, that history, it doesn't repeat itself, but it kind of mirrors itself throughout the generations. And so as we look back on the Underground Railroad's connection to our community, it helped people get to freedom. It helped people from diverse communities in comparison to the large population demographics of our community at that time in history get to freedom. And now today we look at our community as being this big melting pot, a number of different cultures, ethnic backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds. How do you think that those connections historically maybe led us to being such a diverse and ultimately welcoming community that we are today?
Well, I would look at it from the lens that we've had a story that you only can talk about what you know. So we've picked up things over the years, and it seems to paint a story. Yet the more you look, the more you find, and then you have to take that and incorporate it into your story, and you get a fuller story. And so we benefit from that. The people who were involved with the Underground Railroad, it seems that there were many of them in West Bloomfield. It literally seems that the homeowners in the area of Orchard Lake Road and Walnut Lake Road were involved, as well as by Pontiac Trail and Orchard Lake Road, and probably to the west of that, were all involved. So it's just interesting to see that that was there. And probably we didn't know that so much before. So we pieced together a fuller story, and that then gives us the opportunity to share that information, and it has a wide impact. Over time, we hope to update what we have at the museum to show that. In the meantime, we have opportunities here with speakers and presentations. Neil just shared what he's put together so far at our February open house. And then he'll also be, I hope, at the Juneteenth event through West Bloomfield Parks, which I understand has grown and grown. So we hope to participate this year. We're actually just getting into the planning of that at the moment.
And with these special events like this presentation coming up on Wednesday, March 26th, 7 p.m. at the library, but also the display that's currently at the main library and will eventually, after this presentation at the end of March, be moving over to West Bloomfield Town Hall. It seems like the Historical Society is making a push to get some of these stories from our really interesting local history in the community even more. Why is that becoming more of a concerted effort and a direct, very visible effort from our Historical Society as you move forward?
Only because it's there. When Leslie Pilot began this program, they had a presentation with the 4 panels originally, and I was trying to think of when that was. It was in 2022, I believe, fall or spring, one of the others. Held in Southfield, and there were a packed room full of people that were very interested. I attended the event with my husband, and we were very impressed by these panels, learned that they were in the community, and I tried to sign up for us to have them right away. That wasn't possible in that year, which I think was 2023. They were in other places in the community in 2024. So our turn popped up this time of year. And so they're in each community usually for 2 months is how they like to do it. So they'll keep exhibiting those panels. Since then, they received a grant and they had more information, so they were able to reproduce them. And now that there's 6 panels. So it has a little bit more information about West Bloomfield. We locally have more information than that as well. So you can only put so much on a panel, but it's pretty neat to see all the things that were going on in Oakland County.
Yeah, you can see
they
it
also say there's a website to respond to, and has more information there. So there's a wealth of information, or there's getting to be more and more information available. It's really about people's interests.
It is, and you're seeing on your screen on civiccentertv.com if you're watching this, or if you go back and see it on demand. A look at some of those 6 panels. They're at the main library as we speak. They'll be there through the end of the month of March, and then they'll move over briefly to West Bloomfield Town Hall. So really a great opportunity to learn about our direct connection to the historical Underground Railroad that helped enslaved people go north from the enslaved South and into freedom, both here in the U.S. and especially through our local community, eventually making their way into Canada. Gina Gregory is with us on the Splash Live. She's the president of the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society, who is putting on a special presentation themselves at the West Bloomfield Library Wednesday, March 26th at 7 p.m. And Gina, this kind of goes back to the overall story of the Historical Society, which is volunteers in our community, our neighbors, our friends, our colleagues, collecting our history and telling our story over the course of years. And when we learn about history in class, we learn about those broad subjects, the Underground Railroad at the historical level for the entire U.S. and world history. But why does learning about your local history matter?
I think it connects you directly to where you are. And I just want to include that these panels will be at West Bloomfield Town Hall all of April, so the whole month that they'll be there during their regular business hours. So anybody, there's a public space, anybody can come in and look at them. I encourage folks to do that. The question was, why does local history matter? I mean, you're almost literally talking about the ground that you live on, or very close to. It's all so close. And I think that's just such a personal way to reflect and incorporate that history into your own life, to give you a sense of space and place and connection to your community. It's also something neighbors can share together. I live in a neighborhood that was developed in 1922, and people love to talk about their time living here and what things were like in the old days, so as well as currently. So it's a way to build community. I think it's one of the best ways to build community because everybody literally shares living here. So to me, that's the best thing, the best value that local history gives everybody.
And what's even better is that with the modern technology that we have, how interwoven all of our lives are day to day in Greater West Bloomfield and our neighboring communities, we're able to collect that history in a much more efficient way and tell those stories through the years. That's part of what the Historical Society is doing right now through its ongoing Collecting Memories effort. Give us a little insight on that and how people can participate in the collection of our local history.
Sure. So it really boils down to, it adds to the value of life of living here. You can learn so much about where you are, and I think that makes for a fuller experience. So we're very fortunate that the city of Orchard Lake Village, when they built their new building in 1987, they had the foresight to keep the building. At that time, the Historical Society had no permanent home, and they offered it to us to use as a space. And we've been so blessed to have that space, and we've used it well over the years. Our whole first floor is involved with, there's one small office space and the rest is all exhibit space, and then our collection is in the basement. So we're so appreciative of that. And to support our efforts, I hope that people come in and take a look. We're always have an open house the second Sunday of every month from 1 to 4, as well as one other time. So they can check at our website, gwbhs.org, to see what our current schedule is. They can become a member. You can do that very inexpensively. You can receive our newsletter, as well as our awesome social media that shares our local history right there close to home on your social media outlets. You can also become a sponsor of Apple Island Tours coming up. You can be a sponsor of an exhibit. You can be a sponsor of our website, and you can also give a planned giving donation. We would love to have more of those. There's many opportunities to connect with our community and show your appreciation, because none of this is free. Volunteers are having more going on in their lives, and less time to devote to history. So how do we keep that alive? And I always say, who's going to be the next president after myself? What's going to happen? What do we want as a community, and who can support us? We're very special because we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we do not fall under the purview of anybody to support us. So it's an interesting place to be. How can we keep history alive? Where can we store our collection? How can we share it? What works for this community? And I would hope that somebody takes up the task of planning that well to the future. Our board struggles with that all the time. How do we keep moving forward? And our answer is we just keep moving forward in the present. It'll always be up to the people at the moment to decide how this moves forward, as far as I can see. We've thought about it, but that's as far as we can take it. If anybody's willing to lend some thoughts to that or some resources, we would love to consider more.
And there's plenty of ways to get involved, as Gina just mentioned, and to get involved in learning about your historical connections to the community, how your neighborhood maybe has played a role in our local history, in our state's history, and in American history as well. Gina, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.